The alarm started as a soft beep. Then it became louder. Then it became a screaming wail that made Senior Monitor Vexala jump from her chair. She had been watching the sensor screens for 12 hours straight. Nothing ever happened at Sentinel-7. The monitoring station floated at the edge of explored space where the Caltheron Empire's territory ended and the empty void began. For 20 years, Vexala had sat in this chair, watching dots on screens that represented asteroids, comets, and the occasional piece of space debris. Nothing interesting. Nothing dangerous. Nothing unknown. Until now. Her six-fingered hands moved across the control panel, trying to silence the alarm. The screen in front of her showed something that should not exist. A contact, a vessel, moving faster than anything she had ever seen. "Computer, run diagnostic," she said, her voice steady despite the fear creeping up her spine. The computer's calm voice responded, "All systems functioning normally." No errors detected. Vexala's throat went dry. She ran the scan again. The contact was still there, still moving, still impossible. She checked the speed reading 3 times. The vessel was traveling at 0.97 light speed. Nothing in the known galaxy could move that fast. The Empire's fastest military ships could barely reach 0.4 light speed. And that was with experimental engines that tended to explode. But speed was not the strangest part. The contact had no signature. Every vessel in the galaxy left traces. Energy emissions from engines, heat from life support systems, electromagnetic signals from navigation equipment. Every spacefaring civilization in the Empire's database had a unique fingerprint that sensors could detect and identify. This vessel had nothing. No energy type matched the Imperial databases. No heat signature matched any known propulsion system. No signals on any frequency they monitored. It was like the ship was made of ghost matter, barely existing in normal space. Vexala opened the communication channel. Sentinel-7 to unknown vessel. "You are entering Caltheron Empire space. Identify yourself immediately." Silence. She tried again, broadcasting on all frequencies. "Unknown vessel, this is Sentinel-7 monitoring station. Please respond and transmit your identification codes." Still nothing. Her hands trembled as she reached for the emergency communication button. She had never used it before. In 20 years, there had never been an emergency worth reporting to Imperial Command. "This is Sentinel-7, she said when the channel opened. "I need to speak with someone in Fleet Command immediately." The face that appeared on her screen belonged to a young officer who looked bored. "Sentinel-7, this channel is for actual emergencies only. If you have a maintenance issue, I have detected an unknown vessel," Vexala interrupted. "It is traveling at near light speed with no identifiable signature, and is not responding to hails." The officer's bored expression changed to something like amusement. "Senior Monitor, your sensors are probably malfunctioning. Run a full diagnostic and—" "I already ran diagnostics twice," Vexala said, her patience wearing thin. "All systems are functioning normally. The contact is real." The officer sighed. "Fine, send me your sensor data and I will have someone look at it." Vexala transmitted the data and waited. She watched the contact on her screen. It had not changed course. It had not slowed down. It was heading directly toward the Empire's core worlds like an arrow flying toward a target. 10 minutes later, her communication panel lit up again. This time, the face on the screen belonged to someone much more senior. Commander Zeltok, if she remembered correctly. He did not look amused. "Sentinel-7, we need you to confirm your readings," he said. "2 other monitoring stations are now reporting the same contact." Vexala felt her stomach drop. 2 others? Which ones? Sentinel-4 and Sentinel-9. "The object is moving through our sensor network at incredible speed. We are tracking it on multiple stations now." "Then you believe me," Vexala said. "We believe something is out there," Commander Zeltok replied, "but we do not know what it is. Keep monitoring and report any changes immediately." The communication ended. Vexala turned back to her screens and began recording everything. If this was going to be a historical moment, she wanted accurate records. 3 hours later, the situation had escalated beyond anything Vexala could have imagined. Fleet Admiral Theron himself was now involved. His image appeared on screens across the monitoring network, addressing all stations simultaneously. Vexala had never seen the Admiral before. He was an imposing figure with silver scales covering his face and military decorations covering his uniform. He had commanded fleets in 3 wars and never lost a battle. "All monitoring stations, this is Fleet Admiral Theron," he said. His voice was deep and confident. "We are now tracking an unidentified vessel entering our territory. This vessel has ignored all attempts at communication and shows no signs of slowing down. I am mobilizing the 3rd Border Legion to intercept. All stations maintain constant surveillance and report directly to me with any changes." The transmission ended. Vexala watched her screen and saw new contacts appearing. Imperial warships were launching from nearby military bases. Within an hour, there were dozens of military vessels converging on projected intercept points. She calculated the unknown vessel's trajectory. At its current speed and heading, it would reach the Empire's core worlds in 14 standard cycles. 14 days. For the first time in 10,000 years, something was approaching the heart of the Caltheron Empire without permission, without identification and without fear. In the Imperial Palace on Caltherox Prime, Chancellor Morn sat in an emergency council meeting. Around the table sat military commanders, intelligence directors, and scientific advisors. Everyone was talking at once. "It must be a probe from an undiscovered civilization," one scientist suggested. "Or a weapon," a military commander countered. "An attack could be imminent. We should destroy it before it gets closer," another commander said. Chancellor Morn raised one hand for silence. The room quieted immediately. "What do we actually know?" Morn asked. The head of Imperial Intelligence stood. "Very little, Chancellor. The object is traveling at near light speed. It has no identifiable energy signature. It does not respond to communication. And most concerning, it is heading directly toward our core worlds on a perfectly straight course." "What does that last part mean?" Morn asked. "It means the vessel knows exactly where it is going," the intelligence director said. "It has not made a single course correction since we first detected it. Either it has incredibly accurate navigation, or it has been to this region of space before." "That is impossible," Fleet Admiral Theron said. "We have cataloged every spacefaring species in this sector for the past 10,000 years. There is nothing we do not know about." "Apparently, Admiral, there is something we do not know about," Morn replied quietly. The Chancellor stood and walked to a large window overlooking the capital city. Billions of beings lived on this world alone, trillions more across the Empire's thousands of planets. They all believed the Empire was invincible. They all believed the Empire knew everything worth knowing about the galaxy. That belief was about to be tested. "Admiral Theron," Morn said without turning around, "deploy your fleet, but do not fire unless fired upon. If this is first contact with a new civilization, I will not have it said that the Caltheron Empire shot first." "And if they are hostile?" Theron asked. "Then defend the Empire," Morn said. "But do not start a war out of fear of the unknown." Back on Sentinel-7, Vexala continued her watch. The unknown vessel maintained its impossible speed and perfect course. It was now less than 13 cycles from the core worlds. She wondered who they were, where they came from, what they wanted. Most of all, she wondered why they were not afraid of the most powerful empire in the known galaxy. The Imperial archives were cold and dusty. Ambassador Kael'thos walked through rows of data crystals that had not been touched in centuries. Most of them contained information about first contact protocols from thousands of years ago, back when the Empire was still discovering new civilizations instead of ruling them all. Kael'thos had been an ambassador for 40 years. In that time, he had negotiated trade agreements, settled border disputes, and welcomed 3 newly spacefaring species into the Empire's fold. But he had never conducted actual first contact with a completely unknown civilization. Nobody had, not for millennia. Found something, called Dr. Silren from across the archive room. The xenoarchaeologist was younger than Kael'thos, but had a reputation for finding answers in forgotten places. Kael'thos walked over to where Silren stood, holding an ancient data crystal up to the light. "What is it?" "First contact protocols from 9,000 years ago," Silren said. "Back when we still met new species regularly. There are procedures here for everything. Translation matrices, diplomatic approach patterns, gift exchange customs, even instructions for what to do if they are more advanced than us." "And are they useful now?" Kael'thos asked. Silren set the crystal down carefully. "Maybe, but there is something else here. Something strange." She activated a holographic display. Ancient text appeared in the air, written in an old form of Caltheron that was barely readable. This section is marked as forbidden knowledge, Silren said. It talks about civilizations that went beyond. Beyond what? Beyond this region of space. Beyond normal physics. The text is fragmented, but it mentions species that achieved technology so advanced they simply left. Went somewhere else. The archive calls them the others. Kael'thas felt a chill despite the warm archive air. You think this vessel might be related to these others? I think we should not dismiss any possibility, Silren replied. Before Kael'thas could respond, his communication device chirped. It was Fleet Admiral Theron. Ambassador, your presence is required on the command ship immediately. We are moving to intercept the unknown vessel. The command ship Dominator was the largest vessel in the 3rd Border Legion. Its bridge was a massive room filled with screens, holographic displays, and dozens of officers monitoring every system. Kael'thas felt small standing there, surrounded by military might. Ambassador, Theron greeted him. We are approaching the unknown vessel's projected path. We will attempt to intercept in 6 hours. What do you expect to happen? Kael'thas asked. I expect them to stop when they see my fleet, Theron said confidently. We have 847 warships deployed in a blockade formation. No sane commander would try to pass through that. And if they are not sane? Kael'thas asked quietly. Theron did not answer. Kael'thas spent the next 6 hours preparing. He had a team of linguists ready with translation matrices that could handle 10,000 languages. He had cultural advisors who had studied every known civilization's customs. He had diplomatic gifts prepared, ranging from simple symbols of peace to valuable resources. He was ready for any kind of first contact scenario, except perhaps for being completely ignored. Contact in 30 seconds, an officer announced. The main screen showed the empty void of space ahead. Kael'thas held his breath. Around the Dominator, hundreds of warships waited in formation, their weapons powered but not aimed. A show of strength but not aggression. Contact in 10 seconds. Kael'thas saw it before the sensors announced it. A flash of light that resolved into a shape. The unknown vessel dropped out of faster-than-light travel and coasted through space at a mere fraction of light speed. For the first time, they could see it clearly. The ship was sleek and dark, its surface seeming to absorb light rather than reflect it. It was smaller than Kael'thas expected, perhaps the size of a mid-range cargo vessel, but there was something about its shape, its presence, that spoke of incredible power being held in check. Hailing on all frequencies, the communication officer said. Kael'thas leaned forward. Unknown vessel, this is Ambassador Kael'thas of the Kaltheran Empire. We mean you no harm. Please identify yourself so we may speak peacefully. Silence. They tried every frequency, every communication method in the database. Radio waves, laser signals, quantum entanglement messaging, even ancient methods like light pulse patterns. The vessel did not respond. It simply continued forward, not fast but steady, moving through the fleet formation as if the warships were not even there. Ambassador, they are ignoring us, Theron said, his voice tight with frustration. Request permission to fire a warning shot across their bow. Kael'thas hesitated. A warning shot could be interpreted as an act of war, but letting the vessel simply pass through might show weakness. One warning shot only, Kael'thas agreed. Make it clear we are not trying to hit them. Theron gave the order. A beam of energy lanced out from one of the warships, passing a safe distance in front of the unknown vessel. The vessel did not slow down, did not change course, did not react at all. They are approaching the neutral zone boundary, an officer announced. If they cross, they will trigger the automated defense satellites. The neutral zone was a buffer region at the edge of Imperial space. Ancient defense satellites, thousands of years old but still functional, guarded it. Any unauthorized vessel that entered would be fired upon automatically. Recall the satellites, Kael'thas ordered. Shut them down before... Too late, Theron said. They just crossed the boundary. On the screen, Kael'thas watched as 3 defense satellites activated. They were old technology, primitive by modern standards, but still dangerous. They fired kinetic projectiles at incredible speeds, designed to punch through the hull of any vessel. The unknown ship did not try to dodge. The projectiles simply vanished before they reached it. No explosion, no impact. They just ceased to exist as if they had never been fired. Then the vessel did something that made every officer on the bridge freeze. It destroyed the satellites. Not with weapons. There were no energy beams, no missiles, nothing visible at all. The satellites simply came apart, their pieces drifting in space like someone had gently disassembled them. How did they do that? Theron whispered. Nobody had an answer. The vessel continued forward. It still had not changed course even slightly. Kelthos pulled up the navigation data and felt his blood run cold. "Admiral," he said slowly, "this ship has not made a single course correction since we first detected it." "What does that mean?" Theron asked. "It means they know exactly where they are going," Kelthos replied. "They have been here before, or they have incredibly detailed maps of our space. Either way, this is not random exploration." Dr. Silrin's voice came through on the communication channel. She had been monitoring from the science vessel. "Ambassador, I am reading the energy output from that vessel. It is orders of magnitude beyond anything in our technology. Whatever power source they are using, it is more advanced than our most experimental reactors by at least several hundred years." "Could you calculate where they are heading?" Kelthos asked. There was a pause while Silrin worked. Then her voice came back, quieter now. "Based on their current trajectory, they are heading for the outer mining colonies. Specifically, Colony 793. "Why would they want to go there?" Theron demanded. "There is nothing at that colony except mining operations and worker housing." "I do not know," Silrin admitted. "But they clearly have a specific destination in mind." Kelthos made a decision. "Admiral, have your fleet follow at a safe distance. Do not engage unless they show hostile intent. I want to see what they do when they reach the colony." "And if they attack the colony?" Theron asked. "Then you have my permission to defend it," Kelthos said. "But I do not think they came all this way just to attack a mining colony." "Then what do you think they want?" Theron asked. Kelthos watched the dark vessel on the screen, moving through space with purpose and confidence. "I think they want something very specific. And I think we are about to find out what." The unknown vessel continued toward Colony 793. Behind it, 847 warships followed like a school of fish trailing a shark. The fleet was supposed to be intimidating. Instead, they looked small and uncertain. In the Imperial Palace, Chancellor Morn received constant updates. Each report was more worrying than the last. The vessel could not be communicated with. It could not be stopped. It was heading toward an Imperial colony with clear purpose. And most worrying of all, it had technology that made the Empire's military might look like primitive weapons from a forgotten age. Morn stood at the window again, looking out at the capital city. Somewhere out in space, something was approaching that the Empire did not understand and could not control. For the first time in 10,000 years, the Kaltheran Empire was not the most powerful force in the room. The thought terrified Morn more than any war ever had. Colony 793 was not a beautiful place. It orbited a dead star, pulling minerals from asteroids that had once been planets. 20,000 workers lived there, most of them from the lower castes of the Empire. They worked long shifts in the mines, processing ore that would be sent to the core worlds to build ships and stations. Governor Ralseth received the emergency transmission with disbelief. An unknown vessel was approaching his colony. The entire 3rd Border Legion was following it. Fleet Admiral Theron himself was requesting that the colony prepare for possible evacuation. "This must be a drill," Ralseth said to his aide. "Nobody attacks mining colonies. There is nothing here worth attacking." "The Admiral seemed quite serious, Governor," the aide replied nervously. Ralseth looked out the window of his office at the ugly industrial landscape below. "Fine, send out an alert. Tell people to stay calm but be ready to move to emergency shelters if needed." 2 hours later, the unknown vessel arrived. It came out of faster-than-light travel and stopped, just stopped, hovering in space above the colony like it was examining something. The 847 warships of the 3rd Border Legion spread out around it, weapons powered and ready. On the bridge of the Dominator, Admiral Theron watched the vessel with growing frustration. "It has been sitting there for 10 minutes, he said. "Not moving, not communicating, just sitting." Ambassador Kelthos was equally puzzled. "Maybe they are scanning the colony." "Scanning for what?" Theron demanded. Before anyone could answer, the communication systems across every ship in the fleet suddenly activated. Not with a voice transmission, with data, pure data, flooding into their systems faster than the computers could process. "What is happening?" Theron shouted over the alarms. "They are transmitting something," the communication officer said, hands flying over controls. "It is overwhelming our systems." Wait, the computers are translating it automatically. Translating from what language? Kalthos asked. I do not know, the officer admitted. The translation matrices are not recognizing the base language, but they are still producing output. It is like the transmission is telling our computers how to understand it. A moment later, text appeared on every screen throughout the fleet. Simple text in perfect Kaltheron language. We are human. We are here for our people. The bridge went silent. Human, Theron said slowly. That designation is not in our database of known species. Search the colony records, Kalthos ordered. See if there are any workers registered under that species name or anything similar. It took 15 minutes to search the records. When the results came back, Dr. Silren was the one who made the connection. Ambassador, you need to see this, she transmitted from the science vessel. I cross-referenced the colony worker database with historical records. There is a species registered as human in the old databases. The spelling is slightly different, but the pronunciation is almost identical. What do we know about them? Kalthos asked. Very little, Silren said. The records go back 400 years. It seems a damaged colony ship entered our space. The ship was failing, life support critical, and they requested assistance. We provided it, so we helped them, Theron said. Then why are they acting hostile now? Let me read you the full record, Silren continued. Her voice was tight. The damaged ship contained approximately 3,000 individuals. They were brought to various colonies and integrated into the workforce. Their ship was scrapped for materials. There is no record of them ever leaving or requesting to return home. Understanding dawned on Kalthos like cold water. We did not rescue them. We absorbed them. We took their ship and scattered them across our colonies as workers. They were going to die if we did nothing. Theron protested. We saved their lives. And then we made them work in our mines for 400 years, Kalthos replied quietly. On the screen, the unknown vessel began to move. Not toward the fleet, toward the colony. It descended through the atmosphere with impossible grace, landing in the main worker district. Governor Ralseth, what is happening down there? Theron demanded over the communication channel. The governor's voice came back, confused and frightened. The vessel landed in Sector 9. It is just sitting there. No one has come out. But something strange is happening. What kind of strange? Kalthos asked. Workers are moving toward it, Ralseth said. Hundreds of them. They are just walking toward the vessel like they are being called. Stop them, Theron ordered. We are trying, Ralseth replied. But they are not listening to orders. It is like they are in a trance. On the Dominator's main screen, they switched to a view from the colony's surface cameras. Kalthos watched as hundreds of workers walked through the streets toward the landed vessel. They were not running or panicking. They moved with purpose, with certainty, like they knew exactly what they were doing. Get me a closer view, Kalthos said. The camera zoomed in on the crowd. Kalthos studied the faces. They looked similar to many other bipedal species in the Empire, but there were subtle differences. The facial structure, the way they moved. These were humans, the descendants of those refugees from 400 years ago. The vessel's hull opened, not with a door or ramp, but the surface simply became permeable, allowing people to walk through like it was made of water instead of metal. The humans walked inside, disappearing into the ship. How many workers are entering? Theron asked. An officer counted on his screen. Current count is 2,847, Admiral. Dr. Silren's voice came through again. That is a very specific number. Let me check something. There was a pause. Then Silren spoke again, and her voice was filled with awe and fear. Admiral, Ambassador, I just cross-referenced the colony's genetic database. There are exactly 2,847 individuals in this colony, with genetic markers matching the original human refugees. Not approximately, exactly. What are you saying? Kalthos asked, though he already knew. I am saying that vessel knew the exact number of humans in this colony before it arrived, Silren said. It knew their precise location. It probably knows the location of every human descendant in the entire Empire. Theron's face went pale. How is that possible? I do not know, Silren admitted. But it implies they have been watching us, tracking their people, probably for a very long time. On the surface, the last human entered the vessel. The hull sealed behind them. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the vessel lifted off. It rose through the atmosphere and stopped in space, directly in front of the fleet formation. The communication systems activated again. Another data transmission faster than before. This time it included more than words. It included images, names, faces, locations. They are sending us a list, the communication officer said, his voice shaking. 74 locations across the empire. Each location is marked with numbers. The numbers add up to 147,936. What do those numbers represent? Theron demanded. Ambassador Kael'thas knew the answer before anyone said it. Those are people, humans, every human descendant scattered across our empire. A new message appeared on the screens. This time, the words were not polite. You have 10 cycles to gather our people and bring them to designated release points. If you comply, we leave peacefully. If you do not comply, we will retrieve them by force. You have been warned. The transmission ended. The human vessel accelerated and vanished, returning to faster-than-light travel. It was gone in seconds, leaving only the stunned fleet behind. They are giving us an ultimatum, Theron said. His voice was hard, angry. They are ordering the Kaltheran Empire to obey them. They are asking for their people back, Kael'thas corrected. People we took from them. We saved them from certain death, Theron insisted. And then we kept them as workers without their consent, Kael'thas replied. Admiral, we need to contact Chancellor Morn immediately. This situation is bigger than either of us can handle. Back on Kaltherox Prime, Chancellor Morn convened another emergency council. This time there was no debate about whether the threat was real. Everyone had seen the transmission. Everyone understood what was being demanded. We cannot comply, General Korseth said firmly. If we give in to this ultimatum, it will show weakness. Every enemy of the Empire will see that we can be intimidated. If we do not comply, Kael'thas countered, we may be starting a war with a civilization that has technology centuries beyond ours. We do not know they are that advanced, Korseth argued. We have only seen one ship. For all we know, that is all they have. Dr. Silren spoke up from her position at the Science Council. With respect, General, I do not think that is true. The vessel's energy signature suggests it is not a warship. The design, the size, everything about it suggests a transport or rescue vessel, a civilian ship. The room went quiet. You are saying their civilian ships are more advanced than our military vessels? Morn asked. I am saying this ship came alone confidently to retrieve their people from the heart of a galactic empire. Silren replied. That suggests either incredible arrogance or absolute certainty that they are safe. Given what we have seen of their technology, I believe it is the latter. We need more information, Morn decided. General Korseth, begin mobilizing additional fleets. The first 3 days were chaos. Across the Empire, planetary governors received orders to identify and gather any workers with human ancestry. The orders came with little explanation, which caused confusion and panic. On industrial worlds, human descendants were pulled from their jobs. On agricultural colonies, they were separated from other workers. Some went willingly, curious about what was happening. Others resisted, afraid they were being punished for something they did not understand. Governor Ralseth of Colony 793 sent daily reports to Imperial Command. After the human vessel took the workers, the colony's productivity had dropped by 15%. Other governors reported similar problems. The humans and their descendants had been integrated so deeply into the Empire's economy that removing them caused disruptions everywhere. We cannot simply give up 147,000 workers, Economic Minister Tolvex argued in a council meeting. Do you know what that will do to our production quotas? Some colonies will have to shut down entirely. Better than starting a war we cannot win, Ambassador Kael'thas replied. We do not know we cannot win, General Korseth insisted. He stood at a holographic display showing fleet positions. I have mobilized the first fleet to join the 3rd Border Legion. That gives us over 2,000 warships. Whatever technology these humans have, they cannot stand against that kind of firepower. Chancellor Morn rubbed his temples, feeling a headache building. And if they can? Then we die defending the Empire's honor, Korseth said simply. Dr. Silren had barely slept in 3 days. She spent every waking moment in the archives, searching for any information about humanity. What she found was frustrating. The records from 400 years ago were sparse and vague. The human colony ship had been damaged badly. The refugees had been grateful for rescue. That was all the official record said. But Silren had learned to look in unofficial places. Old personal journals, maintenance logs, even entertainment broadcasts from that time period. Slowly, a different picture emerged. She found a journal entry from a cargo ship captain who had been part of the rescue operation. The captain described the human colony ship as primitive but functional. The humans had been traveling for generations, seeking a new home. Their ship was old and worn, but it had not been failing when they entered Caltheron space. It had been attacked. Attacked by what? Silren muttered to herself, reading further. The captain did not specify, but he mentioned that the human ship's weapon systems had been destroyed, their engines damaged, their life support barely functioning. Another entry, this one from a medical officer who had examined the refugees. They are remarkably adaptable, strong for their size. They seem to have an unusual resistance to various environmental stresses. One of them told me their species originated on a high-gravity world, which would explain their physical resilience. Silren kept searching. She found census records showing where the humans had been sent. Mining colonies, mostly. A few agricultural worlds. Places that needed manual labor. Over 400 years, they had integrated into the Empire's lower castes. They had families, children, grandchildren. By now, most of them probably did not even remember they were originally from somewhere else. But someone remembered. Someone had been keeping track. On the 6th day, Silren found something that made her blood run cold. It was buried deep in a restricted archive, marked as classified by authority of the Imperial Science Council. The file was labeled Precursor Species Database, restricted access only. She should not have had access. But in the chaos of the current crisis, security protocols had been relaxed. She opened the file. Inside were references to dozens of species that had once lived in this region of space. Not recently. Tens of thousands of years ago. The database called them precursor species. Civilizations that had achieved advanced technology, and then simply left. Disappeared from the known galaxy. One entry caught her eye. The species designation was corrupted in the database, but the description was clear. Bipedal. Bilateral symmetry. High adaptability. Originated from a high-gravity world in the inner systems. Last confirmed sighting approximately 50,000 years ago. Believed to have achieved post-physical technology and departed for regions unknown. The physical description matched humans perfectly. Silren transmitted her findings to Ambassador Kalthos immediately. Are you saying humans are one of these precursor species? Kalthos asked, his voice tight with tension. I am saying humans were here before we were, Silren replied. They achieved technology we cannot even imagine and left. They went somewhere else, somewhere beyond. And now they are back, Kalthos said slowly. Now they are back, Silren confirmed. And we accidentally enslaved their descendants. On the 8th day, Chancellor Morn made a decision. Sort of. We will gather the humans as requested, Morn announced in a council meeting, but we will not simply hand them over. What do you mean? Kalthos asked. I mean we will bring them to a designated location, but we will also have every available military asset in position, Morn explained. If the humans come to collect their people, we will be ready to negotiate from a position of strength. Or fight, General Korseth added with satisfaction. Or fight, Morn agreed reluctantly. I am offering them a choice. Peaceful negotiation or conflict. Let them decide which they prefer. Kalthos wanted to argue, but he understood the political reality. The Empire could not appear weak. Even if they gave the humans back their people, it had to look like a negotiation, not a surrender. Where will this meeting take place? Kalthos asked. Neutral space, Morn said. Sector 14. It is far enough from our core worlds to be safe, but close enough to our fleet bases that we can respond quickly if needed. The orders went out. All humans and their descendants were to be transported to collection points, then moved to Sector 14. The process was not gentle. Many humans protested being taken from their homes. Some tried to resist, but the Empire's security forces were efficient, and within 2 days, nearly 120,000 humans had been gathered. That is not enough, Admiral Theron said, reviewing the numbers. They wanted all of them. We are missing almost 30,000. Some are in remote locations, an aide explained. Deep space stations, long-range exploration ships, colony worlds that have not responded to our hails. We are still trying to reach them. We do not have time, Theron said. The deadline was in less than 2 days. Bring whoever we have to Sector 14. We will explain the situation to the humans when they arrive. If they arrive, Theron thought but did not say. Part of him hoped the humans would not show up. That this was all some elaborate bluff. But he knew better. They would come. The question was how they would respond to the Empire's military display. Vexala, back at Sentinel-7, was monitoring long-range sensors when she detected them. 4 contacts this time, coming from the same direction as before. Moving at the same impossible speeds, multiple contacts detected, she reported to Fleet Command. 4 vessels on approach vector to Sector 14. Estimated arrival time 3 hours. In Sector 14, the trap was set. Over 2,000 warships were positioned in a massive formation. At the center of the formation, transport ships held the gathered humans. The entire 1st Fleet and 3rd Border Legion were present, representing the largest concentration of military power the Empire had assembled in centuries. Admiral Theron stood on the bridge of the Dominator, watching the sensors. Ambassador Kael'thas stood beside him, looking uncomfortable in the military environment. 4 ships, Theron said with confidence. We have 2,000. Even with their technology, those odds should give them pause. Or it will make them angry, Kael'thas replied quietly. Then we will see what they are really capable of, Theron said. The human vessels arrived exactly on schedule. They dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the sector and stopped. For a long moment, nothing happened. The 4 vessels just hung in space, dark and silent. Then one of them transmitted. This time it was not just data. It was video. A face appeared on every screen in the fleet. A human face. The being looked middle-aged by most species standards, with short dark hair and eyes that seemed tired and disappointed. I am Captain Sarah Chen of the human recovery vessel Remembrance, the human said. Her voice was calm, measured, but there was steel underneath. You have gathered our people. Thank you. Transfer them to our vessels and we will depart. Admiral Theron activated the fleet's communication system. This is Fleet Admiral Theron of the Kaltheron Empire. Before any transfers occur, we need to discuss terms. Terms? Captain Chen's expression did not change. There are no terms. You have our people. We are taking them home. That is all. With respect, Captain, you are surrounded by 2,000 warships, Theron said. Perhaps we should negotiate like civilized beings. For the first time, Captain Chen showed emotion. She smiled, but it was not a friendly smile. Admiral, we left this region of space 50,000 years ago. We hoped you would have evolved beyond threatening people to get what you want. Clearly you have not. You dare, Theron began, but Chen cut him off. We dare many things, Admiral. We crossed the galaxy. We transcended the physical limitations of normal space. Begin the transfer, Admiral Theron said quietly. His voice carried defeat. Admiral? General Korseth's face appeared on a communication screen from one of the other command ships. We cannot simply surrender. The Empire's honor is irrelevant if we are all dead, Theron interrupted. Begin the transfer. That is an order. The transport ships opened their docking bays. Small shuttles began moving between the Imperial vessels and the human ships, carrying their precious cargo of confused and frightened people. Kael'thas watched the transfer on the monitors. He saw human faces looking out from the shuttle windows. Some looked happy. Some looked scared. Most just looked confused. These were people who had been born in the Empire. Their parents and grandparents had been born in the Empire. Many of them probably thought of themselves as Imperial citizens, not humans. Now they were going home to a place they had never seen. It will take hours to transfer everyone, an officer reported. We have nearly 120,000 individuals to move. How many did they ask for? Theron asked. 147,000, the officer replied. Theron closed his eyes. They were short. Nearly 30,000 people were still scattered across the Empire, too far away to retrieve in time. Inform Captain Chen that we could not locate everyone, Theron said. Some are in remote locations that we could not reach before the deadline. Captain Chen's voice came through the speakers. She did not sound sympathetic. We know where they are, Admiral. Every single one of them. We have been tracking them for quite some time. Then you know we tried to comply, Theron said. You tried to set a trap, Chen corrected. But yes, you are transferring those you gathered. That is something. The transfer continued in tense silence. Hours passed. The Imperial fleet stayed in formation, weapons powered but not aimed. The human vessels waited patiently, their own weapon systems never even activating. They did not need weapons to be threatening. Finally, the last shuttle completed its journey. Nearly 120,000 humans had been transferred to the recovery vessels. All available individuals have been transferred, Admiral Theron reported. Confirmed, Captain Chen replied. Now we will collect the rest. What do you mean? Theron asked, though he feared he knew. We told you, Admiral. We know where they are. Every station, every colony, every deep space exploration vessel that has humans aboard. We are going to collect them. You may either cooperate or watch. Your choice. Before Theron could respond, the human fleet split up. Groups of vessels departed in different directions, moving faster than anything in the Imperial fleet could follow. They spread across the sector like seeds in the wind, heading for specific destinations with perfect knowledge of where to go. They have complete intelligence on our territory, General Corseth said, his voice filled with horror. They know the location of every military installation, every colony, every ship in our fleet. They have been watching us, Kael'thas said. Probably for a very long time. We took their people 400 years ago. They have been monitoring them ever since. Over the next 3 days, reports came in from across the Empire. Human vessels appeared at remote stations and colonies. They did not attack. They did not threaten. They simply arrived, collected any humans present, and left. Imperial forces that tried to interfere found their weapon systems disabled without any visible attack. Ships that moved to intercept found themselves unable to navigate properly, as if space itself was pushing them away. The humans did not fight. They did not need to. On the 4th day after the confrontation in Sector 14, all human vessels converged at a single point in neutral space. Admiral Theron, following orders from Chancellor Morn, took the Dominator to that location with a small escort fleet. This time, Captain Chen agreed to a face-to-face meeting. The meeting took place on a neutral shuttle halfway between the fleets. Admiral Theron, Ambassador Kael'thas, and Dr. Silrin represented the Empire. Captain Chen came alone. She looked different in person, smaller than Theron expected. Humans were not an impressive species physically, but there was something in her eyes that made Theron want to look away. Authority, power, the confidence of someone who knew exactly what they were capable of. Thank you for meeting with us, Kael'thas began, trying to be diplomatic. I am here as a courtesy, Chen replied, sitting down across from them. You seem like you want to understand what happened. I can give you that much before we leave. We want to avoid future conflicts, Kael'thas said. We did not know who you were. We did not know your people were here. You did not know because you did not ask, Chen said flatly. When you found that refugee ship 400 years ago, did anyone think to find out where they came from? Did anyone consider that maybe they had a home to return to? Silence. We thought the ship was alone, Theron said. A lost colony vessel with no home. That vessel was exploring this region, Chen explained. We sent dozens of them out thousands of years ago before we left. They were generational ships meant to travel for centuries, documenting this part of the galaxy. That particular ship ran into some kind of spatial anomaly that damaged their engines. They limped into your space asking for help. And we helped them, Theron insisted. You helped them and then kept them, Chen repeated. Admiral, let me tell you something about humans. We do not forget our people, ever. When that ship failed to report back, we sent others to investigate. By the time they arrived, your empire had already scattered the survivors across dozens of worlds. We have been watching them ever since. Watching you. Dr. Silrin spoke up. The archives call your species precursor. They say you left this region 50,000 years ago. Chen nodded. That is correct. This area of space was our original home. We evolved here, built our first civilization here, but we outgrew it. We discovered technologies that allowed us to go further, to do more. So we left, seeking new frontiers. Why come back? Silrin asked. Because it is still home, Chen said simply. We left, but we never forgot where we came from. We maintain long-range monitoring systems. We protect this region even though no one here knows it. When we detected that one of our exploration vessels had been absorbed into your empire, we came to get them back. You could have contacted us, Kael'thas said, asked for their return peacefully. Would you have given them back? Chen asked. Or would you have made excuses? Claimed they were integrated, that they wanted to stay? That they were too valuable to your economy to release? No one answered because they all knew she was right. Chen stood. This meeting is over. We have all our people now. We are leaving. But I want to give you some information before we go. She placed a data crystal on the table. This contains coordinates. Safe routes through this sector. Dangerous areas you should avoid. Warnings about spatial anomalies. Think of it as a gift from a more advanced civilization to a younger one. Why would you help us after what we did? Theron asked. Because we remember being where you are now, Chen replied. Young, ambitious, thinking we were the pinnacle of civilization. We made mistakes too. We learned from them. Maybe you will too. She moved toward the door, then paused. One more thing. This region of space is under human protection. We have monitoring stations throughout the sector. Automated defense systems. If you expand into areas we have marked as dangerous, you will encounter them. Follow the guidelines in that data crystal and you will be fine. Ignore them and you will have problems. Are you threatening us? Theron asked. I am informing you, Chen corrected. The galaxy is bigger than you imagine, Admiral. More complex, more dangerous. You have been living in a small, safe pocket of space, thinking you are the dominant power. You are not. You never were. But you can be safe if you are smart. She left the shuttle. Through the window, they watched her return to her vessel. Minutes later, the entire human fleet vanished. Not gradually, not in sequence. All at once, they simply ceased to exist in normal space, leaving only faint energy readings that quickly faded to nothing. Back on Kaltharox Prime, Chancellor Morn addressed the Imperial Council. News of what had happened had spread quickly. Some council members demanded revenge. Others called for increased military spending. A few suggested trying to acquire human technology. Morn listened to them all, then raised a hand for silence. For 10,000 years, we believed we were the greatest civilization in the galaxy, Morn said. We were wrong. That illusion died in the last week. Now we have a choice. We can rage against that reality or we can learn from it. You are suggesting we accept this humiliation? General Corseth demanded. I am suggesting we accept the truth, Morn replied. The humans could have destroyed our fleets. They could have taken their people by force from the beginning. Instead, they gave us chances to do the right thing. They could have left us with nothing. Instead, they gave us navigation data and warnings about dangers we did not even know existed. They showed mercy, Ambassador Kalthos said quietly. They showed us what